All right, we're just gonna jump into it today because we got a big one here, really big one. Hang on one second. I'm gonna do something here. Make sure that I'm not interrupted while reading to you fine folks. Let's see. There we go. Good. There we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I asked, you answered. So today we're going to do something a little different. I'm going to read a little book called Artemis Fowl. I may have to end chapter 1 a little early because I have kids that I actually need to father and raise. But let's see how this goes. If it goes well, who knows? Maybe we'll keep doing this little tradition. Artemis Fowl by Owen Colfer, soon to be a major motion picture. That's a little message from Kenneth Branagh, the director of the movie that I did. He wrote to me. I'm going to share it. Prologue. How does one describe Artemis Fowl? Various psychiatrists have tried and failed. The main problem is Artemis's own intelligence. He bamboozles every test thrown at him. He has puzzled the greatest medical minds and sent many of them gibbering to their own hospitals. There is no doubt that Artemis is a child prodigy. But why does someone of such brilliance dedicate himself to criminal activities? This is a question that can be answered only by one person, and he delights in not talking. Perhaps the best way to create an accurate picture of Artemis is to tell the by now famous account of his first villainous venture. I've put together this report from first-hand interviews with the victims, and as the tale unfolds, you will realize that this was not easy. The story began several years ago, at the dawn of the 21st century. Artemis Fowl had devised a plan to restore his family's fortune, a plan that could topple civilizations and plunge the planet into a cross-species war. He was 12 years old at the time. Chapter 1. The book. Ho Chi Minh City in the summer, sweltering by anyone's standards. Needless to say, Artemis Fowl would not have been willing to put up with such discomfort if something extremely important had not been at stake. Important to the plan. Sun did not suit Artemis. He did not look well in it. Long hours indoors in front of a computer screen had bleached the glow from his skin. He was white as a vampire and almost as testy in the light of day. Forgive all of my accents and dialects as I proceed henceforth. I hope this isn't another wild goose chase, Butler, he said, his voice soft and clipped, especially after Cairo. It was a gentle rebuke. They had traveled to Egypt on the word of Butler's informant. No, sir. I'm certain this time. Nguyen is a good man. Droned Artemis, unconvinced. Passerby would have been amazed to hear the large Eurasian man refer to the boy as Sir. This was, after all, the third millennium. But this was no ordinary relationship, and these were no ordinary tourists. They were sitting outside of a curbside cafe on Dong Kai Street, watching the local teenagers circle the square on mopeds. Nguyen was late, and the pathetic patch of shade provided by the umbrella was doing little to improve Artemis's mood. But this was just his daily pessimism. Beneath the sulk was a spark of hope. Could this trip actually yield results? Would they find the book? It was too much to hope for. A waiter scurried to the table. More teas, sir, he asked, head bobbing furiously. Artemis sighed. Spare me the theatrics and sit down. The waiter turned instinctively to Butler, who was, after all, the adult. But, sir, I am the waiter. Artemis tapped the table for attention. You are wearing handmade loafers, a silk shirt, and 3 gold signet rings. Your English has a tinge of Oxford about it, and your nails have the soft sheen of the recently manicured. You are not a waiter. You are our contact in Gaianjuan, and you have adopted this pathetic disguise to discreetly check for weaponry. Nguyen's shoulders sagged. It is true. Amazing. Hardly. A ragged apron does not a waiter make. Guyan sat, pouring some mint tea into a china cup. Let me fill you in on the weapons status, continued Artemis. I am unarmed, but Butler here, my butler, has a 6R in his shoulder holster, 2 strike-throwing knives in his boot, a Derringer 2-shot up his sleeve, Garrett wire in his watch, and 3 stun grenades concealed in various pockets. Anything else, Butler? The Kosh, sir. Oh, yes. A good old ball-bearing Kosh stuffed down his shirt. And Guyan brought the cup trembling to his lips. Don't be alarmed, Mr. Juan, Artemis smiled. The weapons will not be used on you. And Guyan didn't seem reassured. No, continued Artemis. Butler could kill you 100 different ways without the use of his weapons, though I'm sure one would be quite sufficient. And Guyan was by now thoroughly spooked. Artemis generally had that effect on people, a pale adolescent speaking with the authority and vocabulary of a powerful adult. And Guyan had heard the name Fowl before. Who hadn't in the international underworld? But he'd assumed he'd be dealing with Artemis Sr., not this boy. Though the word boy hardly seemed to do this gaunt individual justice. And the giant, Butler. It was obvious that he could snap a man's backbone like a twig with those mammoth hands. And Guyan was starting to think that no amount of money was worth another minute in this strange company. Are we enjoying this so far? Should I keep going? Do I see hearts, thumbs, emojis? This is a lot of reading. So I want to make sure I still got all your attention. And if not, I won't take offense. I'll just take a bath. Good? Yes? Yes, I should. Yes, there's a lot of yes, please. Yes. Do this, Josh. Do this. You can do this. You can read. You can read books to us. I'll keep reading to you guys. With all those digital thumbs and hearts. Okay, calm the hearts down now. Calm the hearts down. I get it. I get it. All right, where were we? And now to business, said Artemis, placing a micro recorder on the table. You answered our web advertisement. That was terrible. And Guyan nodded, suddenly praying that his information was accurate. Yes, Mr. Master Fowl. What you're looking for, I know where it is. Really? And am I supposed to take your word for this? You could be walking me straight into an ambush. My family is not without enemies. Butler snatched a mosquito out of the air beside his employer's ear. No, said Guyan, reaching for his wallet. Here, look. Artemis studied the Polaroid. He willed his heart to maintain a calm beat. It seemed promising, but anything could be faked these days with a PC and flatbed scanner. The picture showed a hand reaching from layered shadows, a mottled green hand. He murmured. Explain? This woman, she is a healer near Tudor Street. She works in exchange for rice wine, all the time drunk. Artemis nodded. It made sense. The drinking, one of the few consistent facts his research had unearthed. He stood, pulled the creases from his white polo shirt. Very well. Lead on, Mr. Juan. Guyan wiped the sweat from his stringy mustache. Information only. That was the agreement. I don't want any curses on my head. Butler expertly gripped the informant behind the neck. I'm sorry, Mr. Juan, but the time when you had a choice in matters is long past. Butler steered the protesting Vietnamese man to the rented four-wheel drive that was hardly necessary on the flat streets of Ho Chi Minh City, or Saigon, as the locals still called it, but Artemis preferred to be as insulated from civilians as possible. The jeep inched forward at a painfully slow rate, made all the more excruciating by the anticipation building in Artemis's chest. He could suppress it no longer. Could they at last be at the end of their quest after 6 false alarms across 3 continents? Could this wine-sodden healer be the gold at the end of the rainbow? Artemis almost chuckled. Gold at the end of the rainbow. You've made a joke. Now there's something that didn't happen every day. The mopeds parted like fish in a giant shawl. There seemed to be no end to the crowds. Even the alleyways were full to bursting with vendors and hagglers. Cooks dropped fish heads into walks of hissing oil, and urchins threaded their way underfoot, searching for unguarded valuables. Others sat in the shade, wearing out their thumbs on Game Boys. Game Boys were these little devices that we used to play with a long time ago. They had basically one fun game called Tetris on it, and that was basically it. No, there were a couple of other games. I don't remember them, but Tetris was the one that I always played with in class. Don't do that in class, kids. Don't play with Game Boys or any modern things that are like Game Boys in class. It's not okay. Olaf says don't do it. Ngayan was sweating right through his khaki top. It wasn't the humidity. He was used to that. It was his whole cursed situation. He should have known better than to mix magic and crime. He made a silent promise that if he got out of this, he would change his ways. No more answering shady internet requests, and certainly no more consorting with the sons of European crime lords. The Jeep could go only so far. Eventually, the side streets grew too narrow for the four-wheel drive. Artemis turned to Ngayan. "Seems we must proceed on foot, Mr. Juan. Run if you like, but expect a sharp and fatal pain between your shoulder blades." Ngayan glanced into Butler's eyes. They were deep blue, almost black. There was no mercy in those eyes. "Don't worry," he said. "I won't run." They climbed down from the vehicle. 1,000 suspicious eyes followed their progress along the steaming alley. An unfortunate pickpocket attempted to steal Butler's wallet. The manservant broke the man's fingers without looking down. They were given a wide berth after that. The alley narrowed to a rutted lane. Sewage and drain pipes fed directly on the muddy surface. Most of the residents of this lane had nothing to spare with the exception of 3. "Well," demanded Artemis, "where is she?" And Ngayan jabbed a finger toward a black triangle beneath a rusted fire escape. "There. Under there. She never comes out. Even to buy rice spirits, she sends a runner. Now can I go?" Artemis didn't bother answering. Instead, he picked his way across the puddled lane to the lee of the fire escape. He could discern furtive movements in the shadows. "Butler, could you hand me the goggles?" Butler plucked a set of night vision goggles from his belt and placed them in Artemis's outstretched hand. The focus motor buzzed to suit the light. Artemis fixed the glasses to his face. Everything became radioactive green. Taking a deep breath, he turned his gaze to the squirming shadows. Something squatted on a raffia mat, shifting uneasily in the almost non-existent light. Artemis fine-tuned the focus. The figure was small, abnormally so, and wrapped in a filthy shawl. Empty spirit jugs were half buried in the mud around her. One forearm poked from the material. It seemed green, but then so did everything else. "Madam," he said, "I have a proposition for you." The figure's head wobbled sleepily. "Wine," she rasped, her voice like nails on a school board. "Wine. English." Artemis smiled. The gift of tongues, check. Aversion to light, check. "Irish, actually. Now about my proposition." The healer shook a bony finger craftily. "Wine first, then talk." "Butler." The bodyguard reached into a pocket and drew out a half-pint of the finest Irish whiskey. Artemis took the bottle and held it teasingly beyond the shadows. He barely had time to remove his goggles when the claw-like hand darted from the gloom to snatch the whiskey, a mottled green hand. There was no doubt. "How we doing? Keep going? Yeah? Stop? Stop? Is there a stop sign? Or just hearts flutter? Flutter hearts. Lots of flutter hearts. Hey, yes, go. Keep going. What is the name of the book? The book is called Artemis Fowl. Wow. What did you think it was? I mean, I literally keep saying the word Artemis Fowl over and over again. Somebody said, "Stop? Question mark?" Good, go. Keep going. Keep going. All right, we'll go. Calm down. Artemis swallowed a triumphant grin. "Pay our friend Butler in full. Remember, Mr. Juan, this is between us. You don't want Butler to come back, do you?" No, Mr. Fowl. My lips are sealed." "It better be, or Butler will seal them permanently." and Guine skipped off down the alley, so relieved to be alive that he didn't even bother counting the sheaf of U.S. currency. Most unlike him. In any event, it was all there, all $20,000, not bad for a half-hour's work. Artemis turned back to the healer. "Now, madam, you have something that I want." The healer's tongue caught a drop of alcohol at the corner of her mouth.
"Yes, Irish. Sore head. Bad tooth. A heel."
Artemis replaced the night vision goggles and squatted to her level. "I am perfectly healthy, madam, apart from a slight dust mite allergy, and I don't think even you can do anything about that. No, what I want from you is your book." The hag froze. Bright eyes glinted from beneath the shawl.
"Book,"
she said cautiously.
"I don't know about no book. I am healer. You want book? Go to library."
Artemis sighed with exaggerated patience. "You are no healer. You are a sprite, bishog, fairy, Catalan, whichever language you prefer to use, and I want your book." For a long moment the creature said nothing. Then she drew back the shawl from her forehead. In the green glow of the night vision goggles, her features leapt at Artemis like a Halloween mask. The fairy's nose was long and hooked under two slitted golden eyes. Her ears were pointed, and the alcohol addiction had melted her skin like putty.
"If you know about the book, human,"
she said slowly, fighting the numbing effects of the whiskey,
"then you know about the magic I have in my fist. I can kill you with a snap of my fingers."
Artemis shrugged. "I think not. Look at you. You're near dead. The rice wine has dulled your senses, reduced to healing warts. Pathetic. I am here to save you in return for the book."
"What could a human want with our book?"
"That is no concern of yours. All you need to know are your options." The sprite's pointed ears quivered.
"Options?"
"1, you refuse to give us a book and we go home, leaving you to rot in the sewer."
"Yes,"
said the fairy.
"I choose this option."
"Ah, no. Don't be so eager. If we leave without the book, you will be dead within a day."
"Ha! A day. A day!"
The healer laughed.
"I will outlive you by a century. Even fairies tethered to the human realm can survive the ages."
"Not with a half pint of holy water inside them," said Artemis, tapping the now empty whiskey bottle. The fairy blanched, then screamed, a high, keening, horrible sound.
"Holy water, you have murdered me, human!"
"True," admitted Artemis. "It should start to burn any minute now." The fairy poked her stomach tentatively.
"The second option?"
"Listening now, are we? Very well then. Option 2, you give me the book for 30 minutes only, then I return your magic to you." The sprite's jaw dropped.
"Return my magic? Not possible."
"Oh, but it is. I have in my possession 2 ampoules. 1, vial of spring water from the fairy well 60 meters below the Ring of Tara, possibly the most magical place on earth. This will counteract the holy water.
"And the other?"
The other is a little shot of man-made magic, virus that feeds on alcohol mixed with a growth agent. It will flush every drop of rice wine from your body, remove the dependence, and even bolster your failing liver. It'll be messy, but after a day you'll be zipping around as though you were 1,000 years old again." The sprite licked her lips to be able to rejoin the people. Tempting.
"How do I know to trust you, human? You've tricked me once already."
"Good point. Here's the deal. I give you the water on faith, and after I've had a look at the book, you get the booster. Take it or leave it." The fairy considered. The pain was already curling around her abdomen. She thrust out her wrist.
"I'll take it."
"I thought you might." "Butler!" The giant manservant unwrapped a soft velcroed case containing a syringe gun and 2 vials. He loaded the clear one, shooting it into the sprite's clammy arm. The fairy stiffened momentarily and then relaxed. "Strong magic," she breathed. "Yes, but not as strong as your own will be when I give you the second injection. Now, the book. All right, guys, I'm going to have to leave it there today. Let me know how that was for you and if we should continue to do chapter books. It's a lot. It's a lot of reading. I know a lot for anybody's attention span. If you would rather I do short books and continue to do shorter books, then I will happily do that. Artemis Fowl is important to my heart because it's my next movie. It's coming out in May, hopefully. We hope, we think. So look forward to that. It's terrific. I've seen it. But in general, I think, the smaller the book, the easier it is for you guys, for me, for all of us. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'll say a quick hi to you guys. If you have any questions, shoot them my way. And you can say, Josh, how did you get so bad at dialects? It took me a while. Terrific. Thank you. You're amazing. That's very sweet of you. Thank you for everything you do. You do. I'm so grateful. These aren't questions. These are just wonderfully kind words that you're all throwing at me. Oh, we love the chapter books. Next chapter. Loved it. Oh, lots of loving the chapter. That's very kind. I'll just sit and just be reading for the rest of my days. You guys are awesome. Can you tell me what part you have in the movie? It's a role called Mulch Diggums. We haven't yet met him. He has a bad stomach issue. More of these chapter books, okay? A lot of more of these chapter books. Are you going to do any Audible books in the future? I am literally doing it right now. I'm reading you books audibly, so I would call these Audible books. So maybe, I don't know. I've never really read books aloud before until now, other than to my children, so I don't know if I should continue or not. Thanks so much for doing these videos. Oh, thank you. We hope you keep reading Artemis Fowl. Okay, great. I will try to do it. All right, I love you guys. Have a great night. As I always say, be safe, be sane, and be healthy. I will see you guys soon. Ta-ta for now. TGIF. Don't scream at me. I know I'm late. I know that I'm behind today. Sorry about that. Sorry for the short notice on this one. Hang on one sec. Just want to fix this little thing. How's everybody doing today? Again, rhetorical question. So, been a bit of a clogged day. Have had a lot of work, frankly, keeping me away from you. Nothing exciting, just work. My dog is here. Didi, come say hi. Come here. Come here. Come say hi. Say hi to all the people stuck in their homes, just like us. Just like us, baby. They're as bored as we are. They're trying to get through the day, like us. What's happening? Why are you so... Do you want to read tonight? Do you want to read tonight? Do you want to read to them? Do you want to speak to them? Speak. Didi, speak. Didi, speak. No, that's not a speak. That's a whine. All right. I'm going to quickly read today because I actually got to take care of my children. It's Friday night. In honor of the announcement that Artemis Fowl is going to come straight to Disney Plus so that you all can see it at home. How exciting is that? I'm going to finish reading chapter 1 of Artemis Fowl this beautiful evening. While we wait for my dog to whine in the background again. We left off at chapter 14. There's no pictures in this one, so you're just going to have to bear with me. The sprite reached into the folds of her filthy robe, rummaging for an age. Artemis held his breath. This was it. Soon the Fowls would be great again. A new empire would rise with Artemis Fowl II at its head. The fairy woman withdrew a closed fist. No use to you anyway. Written in the old tongue. Artemis nodded, not trusting himself to speak. She opened her knobbly fingers. Lying in her palm was a tiny golden volume, the size of a matchbox. Here, human. 30 of your minutes, no more. My dog loves this chapter. Butler took the tiny tome reverentially. The bodyguard activated a compact digital camera and began photographing each wafer-thin page of the book. The process took several minutes. When he was finished, the entire volume was stored on the camera's chip. Artemis preferred not to take chances with information. Airport security equipment had been known to wipe many a vital disk, so he instructed his aide to transfer the file to his portable phone, and from there email it to Fowl Manor in Dublin. Before the 30 minutes were up, the file containing every symbol in the fairy book was sitting safely in the Fowl server. Artemis returned the tiny volume to its owner. Nice doing business with you. The sprite lurched to her knees.
The other potion, human.
Artemis smiled. Oh, yes. The restoring booster. I suppose I did promise.
Yes, human promised.
Very well. But before we administer it, I must warn you that purging is not pleasant. You're not going to enjoy this one bit. The fairy gestured around her at the squalid filth.
You think I enjoy this? I want to fly again.
Butler loaded the second vial, shooting this one straight into the carotid artery. The carotid artery. I'm sorry, guys, I can't read today. The sprite immediately collapsed on the mat, her entire frame quivering violently. Time to leave, commented Artemis. 100 years of alcohol leaving a body by any means possible is not a pretty sight. The butlers had been serving the fowls for centuries. It had always been that way. Indeed, there were several eminent linguists of the opinion that this was how the common noun had originated. The first record of this unusual arrangement was when Virgil Butler had been contracted as a servant, bodyguard, and cook to Lord Hugo de Faux for one of the first great Norman Crusades. At the age of 10, Butler children were sent to a private training center in Israel, where they were taught specialized skills necessary to guard the latest in the fowl line. These skills included cordon bleu cooking, marksmanship, a customized blend of martial arts, emergency medicine, and information technology. If at the end of their training there was not a fowl to guard, then the butlers were eagerly snapped up as bodyguards for various royal personages, generally in Monaco or Saudi Arabia. Once a fowl and a butler were put together, they were paired for life. It was a demanding job and lonely, but the rewards were handsome if you survived to enjoy them. If not, then your family received a 6-figure settlement plus a monthly pension. The current butler had been guarding young Master Artemis for 12 years, since the moment of his birth. And though they adhered to the age-old formalities, they were much more than master and servant. Artemis was the closest thing Butler had to a friend, and Butler was the closest Artemis had to a father, albeit one who obeyed orders. Butler held his tongue until they were aboard Heathrow connection from Bangkok. Then he had to ask, Artemis. Artemis looked up from the screen of his power book. He was getting a head start in the translation. Yes. The sprite. Why didn't we simply keep the book and leave her to die? A corpse is evidence, Butler. My way, the people will have no reason to be suspicious. But the sprite. I hardly think she will confess to showing humans the book. In any case, I mix a slight amnesiac into her second injection. When she finally wakes up, the last week will be a blur. Butler nodded appreciatively. Always 2 steps ahead. That was Master Artemis. People said he was a chip off the old block. They were wrong. Master Artemis was a brand new block, the likes of which had never been seen before. Doubts assuaged, Butler returned to his copy of Guns and Ammo, leaving his employer to unravel the secrets of the universe. All right, guys. That's all the time I have for today. Let me know if you liked little chapter book reading, because I'm happy to keep doing it, and if not, I'm happy to not do it again. I'm going to take the weekend off to be with my wee ones, but I'll see you all again on Monday. I hope you have a lovely, lovely weekend. I'm not quite sure what accent I'm doing right now. It's a bit dodgy, but I just want to say I love you all dearly, and I'm so excited for you all to see my new film, Artemis Fowl, coming soon to a Disney Plus nearest to you. Be healthy, be safe, be sane. See you on the other side.